Today I'm with Allen Lentsch. Congratulations on your decades in business as founder of Northland Auto Solutions. What need or opportunity did you see that caused you to originate this approach to helping dealers be more successful? How did the business come to be?
Well, originally when I started in the auto industry over 30 years ago, I looked at the financing side of the world, and as you know, the subprime customers, those customers with bad credit, could not get financing from a bank or a credit union. And so that's when buy here, pay here became a product in the United States. The dealers would finance the customers themselves. They would sell them the car and then finance it for them, called buy here, pay here. And I looked at that program and I saw something in there that hurt the customer, not helped him. Yes, it helped him because he got a car, but 30% of those customers get those cars repossessed. That's a lot of them. Now you look at that, now they've ended up with another mark on their credit for a repossession. So that didn't help them at all, it hurt them. So I said there's got to be a better way. And that's when I came up with the rent-to-own and lease-to-own. They're the same programs, just dealers could use the different names, whatever they wanted. Back in the old days, the rent-to-own was very common with furniture and appliances and stuff like that, so the consumers were used to the words, and so that's the name that many of the dealers chose to use when they started out. Then lease-to-own came about, and finally now after 30 years, lease-to-own has really become the thing, and rent-to-own has kind of disappeared out there. So.
Well, there are two sides that you have to protect, the consumer and the dealer.
That is correct.
How do they both win with your solution?
Okay, with our solution, with the leasing for the dealer, the advantage that he has, to give you an example, is that there is no repossession. If the customer stops paying, he just goes and picks up his car because he owns it. Where on the buy here, pay here side, that he has to get the repossession, and that makes his credit worse. So there's the big help there for both sides, actually, for the consumer and for the dealer on there.
Does this result in changing the perception that a lot of people have about car dealers in general? Does this help improve, say, the image of the car dealer in the consumer's eyes?
It changes the image of the car dealer completely, and I'll tell you why. The most interesting thing that happened in this whole program that I didn't expect when I started with the whole thing is that if you really take care of that consumer and look out for that consumer's best interest, that consumer is going to love you. And that's what happens. What happens there is the dealer tells the consumer right out, now when he gets done with the deal of the lease, he says, now look, if you run into financial difficulty, don't worry, just bring the car back. There's no charges, nothing, you can just walk away. And when you get back on your feet financially, you can come back to me and get another car. Well, that changes the whole outlook of that consumer. There are so many things that change there for that consumer. That's just one of them that helps that person feel like this guy really cares for me, is what happens here.
I got a question. You know, that sounds great, but is this program a do-it-yourself kind of thing, or is it indeed a turnkey enterprise with continued support?
Yes, the dealer can do this by himself. We suggest that he use our turnkey program because we furnish all the forms for the dealer, everything he needs to do the program, and that continues on for the rest of his life as long as he stays with us. That's a huge advantage to that dealer than trying to do it himself.
Some dealers contend, though, that they could put together their own lease-to-own program. Can they? And if so, why do they need Northland Auto?
Okay, the reason they need Northland Auto is that it's more than just putting the program together. There's one more aspect on there for the dealer that's extremely important, and that's the insurance that Northland provides to that dealer. We provide every dealer with $1 million worth of liability insurance and physical damage on that car. And the reason for that is that if that leasee goes out there and gets in an accident and kills a bunch of people, who's the third party going to sue? Not the customer. They don't have any money. They're going to sue the dealer. And that's why it's so important.
Is financing the vehicles in the lease program difficult? And if so, how does Northland Auto provide a solution to that?
In the beginning, when we started, it was next to impossible to get financing for leasing because no banks or credit unions or anybody would do it. As time has gone on, so I started our own finance company, LTO Financial, to finance those dealers for their cars. But as time has gone on, now many finance companies have gotten involved and they're doing financing for leasing, so dealers have it pretty easy now. We used to help dealers with to get with their bank and their credit union and get them to fund them. We would help the dealer work with the banks and the credit unions, their own, if they wanted, so is what we did. So.
Introducing a new aspect of an established business can be quite expensive. Well, what has been your experience with the dealers in this regard?
It isn't very expensive at all because the dealer's already set up with the cars. He's got everything there he needs. He's got his employees that do the work. And so there's not much change at all. And if he was doing buy here, pay here before, he's doing the same thing here with that customer. So there is no extra expense to the dealer whatsoever.
Over the course of your 30 years, Al, what have your customers experienced in regard to word-of-mouth impact as people spread the word of the dealer's new way of operating at their auto lot?
That is an amazing change in the world because, again, we're looking at and we're training our dealers to take care of the customer. That changes the whole outlook. For an example, that bringing the car back whenever he wants, at any time, walk away with no bills of any kind, that the customer can't hardly adjust in his mind to that. That's a huge change, number one. Number two, that a customer sees that dealer as a friend. And we teach the dealers to be a friend with that customer. And what happens is, let's say the customer's been in the car for a year and a half, and he comes in to make his payment. And the dealer says to him, Joe, I got these 5 cars over here that are 2 years newer than the one you got. Would you like one of those 5 cars for the same payment you're paying now? And the customer, wow, I'll take that red one, makes him pretty darn happy. And see, that's the idea of taking care of that customer and keeping the customer for life. That's what you want to do. You don't want them going down the street and buying from somebody else. You want them to stay with you for the rest of your life.
Well, if dealers have the objective of getting rid of vehicle inventory, why would they welcome letting a customer bring a car back anytime the customer wants to?
Because we teach the dealers how to roll the cars. Instead of selling the car and being done and gone, and the customer may go someplace else the next time to buy a car, here he's leased the car, so the customer has to come back to the dealer. So when he comes back to the dealer takes care of that customer and keeps him as a customer for the rest of his life. That's the object. We had a dealer when we first started out that joined us, and he was with us for 17 years, and so we ran a check to see what kind of customer retention rate he had. He had a customer retention rate of 72%, and in the auto industry, that's amazing. But that's what's taking care of that customer, and that's what happened.
Most businesses would appreciate having that kind of retention rate.
You ain't a kidding.
Al, have you ever had a dealer question you about the program being so smooth? I mean, what's wrong with the program? Give us the downside. Be honest.
Okay. Yes, I had a dealer call me one time, and he said, Alan, he said, you know what's wrong with your program? And I was worried. I said, oh, he's going to get on my case about something. And he said, absolutely nothing. I should have did this 10 years ago. He said, it's so simple. It's such a simple philosophy of taking care of the customer, and they'll take care of you for the rest of your life.
Would you agree that it seems based upon the give and take between people?
Absolutely.
At its core?
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Have you ever run a side-by-side comparison of the profit return, analyzing buy here, pay here versus lease to own? Will you share the story with the customers?
Yes, we sure will. We have run a side-by-side, and you can look at that after you get done with the video, I guess. But the side-by-side shows each year, and now the big difference between the two, why the lease to own and rent to own are so much more profitable than buy here, pay here, is the tax structure. On the buy here, pay here, the dealer has to pay the full tax on the whole contract at the end of the first year. Well, you can imagine that, thinking that I sold 10 cars, let's say in December, and I got $300 on each car, and now I got to pay over $3,000 in taxes on that. Well, I'm a little short. At the end of 1 year, we showed, and running this side by side, that at the end of 1 year, going into the second year, the dealer on buy here, pay here is $37,000 in the hole, in the red. On the lease to own, the dealer is $284,000 ahead. He can buy a lot more cars for $284,000 than he can buy for $37,000 in the hole.
It really sounds like you're saying that if a dealer takes care of the customer, that the customer will take care of the dealer. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. That system in this world will never fail if you just learn to take care of the customer.
Thank you, Al, for this insightful glimpse into the Northland Auto lease-to-own business model. Any dealer can profit from this. I guess it's why you always say, Northland Auto, power to your business, today and tomorrow.
Thank you.